All right, you dipshits, buckle up. We're diving headfirst into a shitstorm of knowledge. Today's target, Bahrain.
Oh, Rain. Seriously, that little pimple on the ass of the Persian Gulf?
Yeah, Bahrain. Most people wouldn't know it if it slapped them across the face with a handful of sand. But guess what?
Ah.
We're going to dissect this little island nation using nothing but this Wikipedia article.
Oh, fantastic. Sounds about as thrilling as watching paint dry.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. Sifting through the bullshit to unearth some goddamn gold nuggets.
Well, if we're talking gold, maybe we should start with the name itself. Bahrain literally means two seas in Arabic.
Two C's? What? Two C's?
That's the million-dollar question. Nobody knows for sure.
You're kidding me.
Nope. Could be the bays surrounding the main island, or maybe those freaky freshwater springs that pop up in the salty Gulf.
So right off the bat, we've got a goddamn mystery on our hands.
Mm.
This is already more interesting than I thought it would be.
Just wait. We're just getting started.
All right, let's rewind the clock a bit. Before we get to the modern-day shenanigans, we got to talk about Bahrain's ancient roots. I'm talking way back to the Dilmun civilization.
Ah, yes. Dilmun, a major trading hub that was booming over 5,000 years ago. We're talking ancient Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Hold up. The Epic of Gilgamesh. Are you telling me this place has ties to one of the oldest pieces of literature in human history?
Oh, it gets even crazier. There's even a theory that Bahrain could be the fucking Garden of Eden.
Get the fuck out of here. You mean Adam and Eve were frolicking around where those overpriced resorts stand today?
It's a theory, but a fascinating one nonetheless.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
But back to Dilmun. These guys were a big deal, right?
Huge. They controlled trade routes across the Persian Gulf, and their influence stretched all the way to India.
Impressive. And they were pretty advanced for their time, right?
Incredibly so. They had advanced irrigation systems, elaborate burial mounds, and a complex system of trade and governance. It really challenges our assumptions about the history of the region.
Because when most people think of the Middle East, they picture deserts, camels, and oil. Not some lost civilization trading pearls and spices with the ancient world.
Exactly. Bahrain flips the script on those tired stereotypes.
And get this, it gets even wilder. The Greek historian Strabo, that brainiac from way back, actually believed that the Phoenicians might have originated from Bahrain.
The Phoenicians, those seafaring badasses who basically invented the alphabet.
The one and only. Imagine this tiny island being the birthplace of a civilization that dominated Mediterranean trade for centuries.
It's a theory, sure, but a mind-blowing one. It puts Bahrain at the heart of ancient history, way more central than most people realize.
Okay, so we've got ancient civilizations, biblical gardens, and Greek historians throwing shade. What else could this place possibly have to offer?
How about a hefty dose of religious complexity? Because while Islam is the dominant force in Bahrain, it's a unique mix of Shia majority and a Sunni ruling family.
Oh boy, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It hasn't always been smooth sailing. We're talking historical tensions, protests, and even an uprising in 2011.
A real powder keg, huh? But here's the kicker. Bahrain is also surprisingly diverse religiously. We're talking a substantial Christian population at 14.5%, a small but persistent Jewish community, and even the oldest Hindu temple in the entire goddamn region.
It's a fascinating paradox. This tiny island nation, caught between powerful religious forces, manages to harbor a surprising degree of religious tolerance.
I guess even in the most fucked up corners of the world, you can find glimmers of hope. But enough about God and ancient history for now. Let's get down to brass tacks and talk about the thing that makes the world go round. Money.
Ah, yes, Bahrain's economy. Because believe it or not, this little island is a goddamn powerhouse.
Seriously. How the hell does a place this small, with limited resources, manage to be recognized by the World Bank as a high-income economy?
Well, they've been pretty damn savvy about diversifying their economy. They knew they couldn't rely on oil forever, so they strategically shifted their focus to banking and tourism.
And they had some serious balls to pull it off. I mean, when the Lebanese Civil War broke out and Beirut went up in flames, most people probably wrote off the Middle East's financial future. But Bahrain saw an opportunity and fucking seized it.
That's right. They stepped in and transformed themselves into the new financial hub, attracting businesses and investors from all over the region.
And it paid off big time. In 2006, a UN report actually declared Bahrain the fastest growing economy in the entire Arab world.
Of course, rapid growth always comes with challenges. Environmental concerns are a major factor. Water stress, desertification, all that fun stuff that comes with rapid development.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to build a paradise on a foundation of sand. But hey, at least they're trying to address these issues. They've invested in desalination plants to tackle water scarcity and introduced a VAT in 2019 to modernize their economy.
It's a delicate balancing act, trying to maintain economic growth while also addressing environmental concerns and social inequalities.
So they're juggling chainsaws while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. Sounds about right. But let's not forget the human element here. What about the people caught in the middle of all this? Are they living the high life or are they getting screwed?
It's a complex picture. Bahrain is a mix of modern and traditional, liberal and conservative. On one hand, they've got policies that are way ahead of their neighbors. They legalized homosexuality way back in 1976. But on the other hand, there have been reports of human rights concerns in recent years.
So it's like they're trying to be the cool kid on the block, but they're still grounded in some pretty old school bullshit.
It's a constant tension, and it's playing out on a global stage. Because here's another curveball. This little island nation managed to secure itself a spot on the global sporting stage with the Bahrain Formula One Grand Prix.
Wait, hold up. You're telling me that this tiny speck in the Persian Gulf, a place most people can't even point to on a map, somehow snagged one of the most prestigious events in motorsports? How the hell did they pull that off?
It's a testament to their ambition and their willingness to think big. They saw an opportunity to put themselves on the map, literally, and they went for it.
And speaking of thinking big, they're not stopping at fast cars. They're building an underwater theme park centered around a sunken Boeing 747. I mean, who else would even think of that?
It's a bold move, that's for sure. And it speaks to their desire to create unique experiences that will attract tourists from around the world.
So they're not just playing it safe, they're swinging for the fences. All right, I'm starting to get a picture of this place. It's a chaotic mix of ancient history, religious tension, economic ambition, and a whole lot of crazy ideas.
That's Bahrain in a nutshell, a place of contradictions where the past and the present collide in a spectacular fashion.
Sounds like my kind of place. But we've only scratched the surface, right? There's still a whole lot more to uncover about this bizarre little nation.
Oh, absolutely. We haven't even touched on their culture, their art scene, their unique position in the Middle East. There's a lot more to explore.
All right then, let's not waste any more time. We'll be right back after a quick break to delve deeper into the heart of Bahrain. Don't go anywhere, you magnificent bastards. Okay, so we left off talking about how Bahrain is trying to be Mr. Nice Guy while also dealing with some serious human rights issues. What a bunch of hypocrites.
Well, it's complicated. It's not always black and white.
Oh, come on. Cut the crap. Let's dive into this Formula One thing. It's insane that they host one of the biggest races in the world. This tiny island, barely a blip on the radar, and they've got these high-rolling drivers zipping around like it's Monaco.
It seems crazy, right? But it's actually a pretty smart move. Think about it.
Okay, I'm all ears. Enlighten me.
The Bahrain Grand Prix puts them on the global map. Millions of people tune in to watch the race, and suddenly, Bahrain's not just some obscure island anymore. It's a destination.
So it's basically a giant look-at-us party.
It attracts tourists, brings in revenue, and boosts their international image. And, let's be honest, who doesn't love a good Formula One race? It's a spectacle.
True. But it's got to be a huge financial risk. What if it all goes tits up?
There are risks, sure. But they've been hosting the race for almost 2 decades now, and it's become a major fixture on the F1 calendar.
I guess they know what they're doing. But even with all this glitz and glamour, they're still facing some serious shit, right? Water stress, desertification, that whole environmental apocalypse thing.
Right. Those challenges haven't magically disappeared. They're a small island with limited resources in one of the hottest, driest regions on the planet.
So are they just screwed? Is Bahrain destined to become a wasteland?
They're trying to address those issues. They're investing in renewable energy, like solar power, and setting ambitious targets for reducing their carbon footprint.
Ambitious targets, huh? Like what? Planting a few palm trees and calling it a day.
They've actually set a target of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2060.
2060? That's like 1 million years from now. We'll all be living on Mars by then.
The point is, they're at least trying to find solutions. They're not just ignoring the problem.
Fine. But honestly, this environmental stuff is a bit of a downer. Let's talk about something more fun. What about the people? What are Bahrainis really like? Are they all stuffy bankers and oil barons?
Not at all. They're known for their hospitality, their love of good food, music, and social gatherings. They're resilient people who have faced a lot of challenges over the years, but they always seem to bounce back.
Sounds like my kind of people. But what about the whole Shia-Sunni divide? That's got to be a constant source of tension.
It's definitely a complex issue that continues to simmer beneath the surface. It's a delicate balance of power, and it's been a source of conflict for centuries.
So is it like a war zone over there? Are people throwing bombs at each other left and right?
No, it's not like that. There are tensions, for sure, but there's also a long history of peaceful coexistence between the two sects. Most Bahrainis just want to live in peace and prosperity.
So it's more like a dysfunctional family Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone's pissed off, but they're still passing the mashed potatoes.
Something like that. It's important to remember that there are extremists on both sides who want to stir up trouble, but most Bahrainis are just trying to get on with their lives.
I get it. Nobody wants to live in a constant state of fear and tension. But it must be hard to ignore those historical divisions.
Absolutely. And recent years have seen a resurgence of sectarian tensions, fueled by regional conflicts and political crackdowns. It's a situation that needs to be handled carefully.
So it's a powder keg waiting to explode. Great. Now I'm stressed out.
Don't get too worked up. It's important to understand the nuances of the situation, to recognize that there's more to Bahrain than just religious conflict.
Okay, fine, but let's be real. Most people probably think of Bahrain as just another oil-rich country. Is there anything else going on there besides banking and pumping oil?
Actually, Bahrain has a vibrant art scene. There's a rich tradition of storytelling and poetry and a growing entrepreneurial spirit. They're incredibly creative and resourceful.
Really? So they're not just a bunch of greedy bankers and oil tycoons?
Not at all. Bahrainis are adaptable, they're hustlers, and they have a deep appreciation for their cultural heritage.
Okay, color me intrigued. Tell me more about this artsy side of Bahrain.
Well, storytelling and poetry are deeply ingrained in their culture. It's a way of life, a way of preserving their history and sharing their experiences.
So they're a bunch of poets and dreamers, huh?
They're also very practical people. They're not afraid to work hard and take risks to make their dreams a reality.
Okay, I like that. A bunch of hustlers with a poetic side. But can you actually make a living as an artist in Bahrain? Isn't it all about oil, banking, and tourism?
It's a challenge, but there's a growing appreciation for the arts, and the government is investing in cultural initiatives. There's a burgeoning art scene that's starting to attract international attention.
So it's like a hidden gem waiting to be discovered.
You could say that. Bahrain's art scene is incredibly diverse, from traditional calligraphy to cutting-edge contemporary art.
All right, I'm sold. Next time I'm in Bahrain, I'm skipping the Grand Prix and heading straight for the art galleries. But before we get too carried away with paintbrushes and poetry, we've got one more piece of the puzzle to explore. We've talked about Bahrain's religious and ethnic diversity, but what about their culture as a whole? What are some of the things that make Bahrain unique?
Well, beyond the art scene, Bahrain has a rich cultural heritage that blends Arab, Persian, Indian, and even African influences.
Wow, a real melting pot. That sounds like a recipe for some amazing food.
Exactly. Bahraini cuisine is known for its aromatic spices, fresh seafood, and its unique blend of flavors. It's a culinary adventure.
Now you're talking. I'm all about good food and good company.
Yeah.
But what about the social scene? Are they a bunch of uptight conservatives or are they down to party?
Bahrain is actually known for having relatively relaxed social norms compared to its neighbors. They're more liberal when it comes to things like alcohol and public displays of affection.
So they're the cool kids of the Gulf, the ones who know how to have fun without pissing off the religious police.
You could say that. They found a balance between tradition and modernity. They respect their Islamic heritage, but also embrace aspects of Western culture.
Sounds like they've got the best of both worlds. Ancient history, modern amenities, good food, good company, and a relatively relaxed social scene. What's not to love?
Of course, no place is perfect. Bahrain has its challenges, its contradictions, its dark sides. But it's also a place with immense potential, a place that's constantly evolving, a place that deserves a closer look.
I'm convinced. Bahrain is officially on my travel bucket list. But before I book my ticket, I need to know one thing. If Bahrain were a person, who would they be?
That's a tough one. I'd say they'd be someone with an ancient soul and a modern outlook. Someone who embraces tradition and progress. Someone who's not afraid to take risks. Someone who's constantly evolving.
So basically, a badass motherfucker with a heart of gold. I like it.
That's one way to put it.
All right, folks, I think we've officially cracked the code on Bahrain. It's a place of contradictions, a place of ambition, a place that's both fascinating and frustrating in equal measure.
It's a reminder that the Middle East is not a monolith, and that even the smallest nations can have a profound impact on the world stage.
Damn, that was deep. I need a drink after all that. And maybe a plate of that delicious Bahraini food you were talking about.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, you magnificent bastards, that's it for the tech. Part 2 of our deep dive into Bahrain. We'll be right back after a quick break to wrap things up and leave you with some final thoughts to ponder. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, you intellectual deviants. We're wrapping up our Bahraini bender, and I gotta say, this place is weirder than a cat in a tuxedo.
It's a country of contrasts, that's for sure. Ancient history meets modern ambition. Religious tensions mix with a surprisingly liberal social scene. And then there's that whole underwater theme park thing.
Oh yeah, the sunken Boeing 747. That's some next level shit right there.
It's definitely a bold move. Some people think it's a publicity stunt, but there's actually a lot more to it than that. They're creating artificial reefs and underwater attractions designed to promote marine biodiversity.
So it's not just about dumping a giant hunk of metal into the ocean. They're actually trying to do some good.
Exactly. They're trying to create a sustainable tourism model that benefits both the economy and the environment.
Color me surprised.
Yeah.
I didn't think those two things could coexist.
It's a delicate balance, but it's possible. And Bahrain seems determined to make it work.
Well, if they pull it off, it'll be a hell of a story. Imagine Bahrain, the ecotourism capital of the world. Who would have thought?
It's certainly an interesting possibility. They've already got the Formula One race and now this underwater theme park. They're not afraid to think big.
That's for sure. They're like the little country that could, except they're fueled by oil money and a healthy dose of insanity.
And that's what makes them so fascinating. They're constantly pushing the boundaries, challenging our expectations. They're a reminder that the world is full of surprises.
And that even the smallest countries can make a big splash.
Precisely. Bahrain is a microcosm of the challenges and opportunities facing the Middle East in the 21st century.
Damn, that's deep. Almost as deep as that Boeing they sunk. So, what's the final verdict? What should our listeners take away from this Bahraini odyssey?
Don't underestimate the power of a small nation with big dreams.
And don't judge a book by its cover. Bahrain is full of contradictions, but that's what makes it so damn interesting.
It's a reminder that the world is a complex and fascinating place.
Amen to that. Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the wild world of Bahrain. We've explored the history, the culture, the economy, the good, the bad, and the downright bizarre. We've laughed, we've learned, and we've hopefully expanded your minds a little bit.
And we've definitely offended someone along the way.
That's practically guaranteed at this point. But hey, that's what makes this show so damn fun.
Exactly. We're not here to sugarcoat things or shy away from controversy. We're here to dive deep, explore the messy realities of the world, and have a few laughs along the way.
So until next time, keep those minds open, those drinks flowing, and those middle fingers raised high. We'll catch you on the flip side, you magnificent bastards.